New England Patriots wide receiver Ja'Lynn Polk.
The rookie out of Washington.
They thought they were getting a plug-and-play player right away.
If they had a better offense, it could have been plug-and-play.
Team's not very good. Leadership was awful.
His role changed week to week. You don't want to overload your rookie quarterback, but you'll overload your rookie receiver.
You just saw the confidence plummet.
He's being led by the wrong people. Just because you played in the league doesn't make you a good coach. I will never be a coach in the National Football League. I can only do my kids. And that's because my wife is sitting on the sideline watching and giving me the evil eye like, you better not.
New England Patriots wide receiver Ja'Lynn Polk. Steve, you and I both had the same amount of catches he's had this season since November 24th. That's 0. But 15 games, 7 starts, 33 targets, 12 catches, 87 yards for the season, 2 touchdowns. Hey, gotta say what it is. I mean, when I looked it up, I almost couldn't believe it. But that's the way his season has gone and has been disappointing for a lot of people in New England, Gerard Mayo included. But I think the other part that we need to say right here off the top, he is forever going to be connected in many Patriots fans' eyes to a one Ladd McConkey, because they were sitting there in the second round with the ability to draft Ladd, were needing a wide receiver, end up trading with the Chargers, trading back a few spots. Chargers take Ladd, they take Ja'Lynn Polk. That's nothing he could do about that, Steve, at all.
Nope.
But that's part of just a wonky rookie season for Ja'Lynn Polk that started out in spring practice with a lot of promise. And that went through training camp as well, where most people that were there were like, this is our number one. Like through the spring camp, it was, this is our number one wide receiver.
We stole one.
Yeah, that was the vibe, I was told. I talked to a general manager from another team that was in desperate need of a wide receiver in this draft, so they did a ton of work. This was an A+ character kid coming out.
Still is, though.
Still is. No, for certain. No, I'm saying what their assessment was with him coming out. But if the situation as a whole, this GM just said, team's not very good. Leadership was awful. Mayo was not a great fit. Maybe he wasn't ready for it. The little stuff after games with Mayo, things like that, all of these things come together to where it walking in as a rookie and you're slated to be the one, maybe through camp, and then all this happens. We saw a lot of things change as the season went.
Well, for me, I was just going back and looking back at his college tape and looking at my college notes. One of the things that really spoke to me, student of the game, right? Attacks of football. His route running can get him out of a jam. And the example, I said releases wasn't the best, crafty enough to get back right and will do the dirty work. One of the things that I heard that was surprising, and I heard a lot of things, but one of the things that was really surprising to me is he really just didn't have that presence in the run game that they saw he had at the University of Washington. He just didn't have that presence, that physical presence, that dog mentality.
That. Yep.
Yes, that dog mentality that we seen how he was in college. We seen that him and Rome were doing that dirty work, and it just didn't happen. And I think a lot of that has to do with, too, you get that excitement, being the 37th pick in the second round, you get that excitement, new team, fresh opportunity. But then there's some part that kind of, that happens, right? And it's in that recruiting process. You get stakes. Mini camp, you get stakes. It's looking great. But then when you start to get the regular old grilled cheeses and the ham and cheese and bologna sandwiches and the PB&Js, you go, wait, the league is the same like everything? Working every day. That kind of changes things. And let me be honest, working every day with a offensive coordinator, the New England Patriots offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt.
Yes.
No bueno.
Not for you, Steve.
Not for me. Watching his offense, it changed a little bit with Drake Maye, but with Jacoby Brissett, he's not going to push the ball down the field. However, they're running routes to push the ball down the field with a quarterback who does a lot of his dirty work in the intermediate game. And then that offensive line wasn't very good either.
No.
And then they're running the game, and they stopped running the football. So I just really couldn't figure out what was going on. And when you are a veteran who's learned multiple offenses, can't tell you what the what the hell they doing? So what do you think a rookie? You think his head is not swimming?
I wanted to jump off of that because I do think this kind of, and now that everything you said kind of makes me think a little bit of the situation set him up to fail. Because of how...
Not intentionally.
No, not intentional. I'm saying, and I'm going to describe how it went, because they thought they were getting a plug-and-play player right away. There were things they saw early that they really, really liked.
Hold on. If they had a better offense, it could have been plug-and-play.
That was the reason they picked him. And listen, they weren't alone. I talked to 2 other executives. They're like, I love the kid when I evaluated him coming out. But when he's showing early signs of success, and you have a weak wide receiver room that, remember, they wanted Calvin Ridley, couldn't get him in free agency. This was the entire room wasn't really what they expected it to be. Are you getting put as a rookie right out of the gate? You're showing flashes in spring. You look like the number 1 in the spring. You look like number 1 in camp. They're teaching you all 3 positions because they see how smart you are at the position. To me, this looks like the situation he was in throughout the preseason and throughout the entire offseason, Steve, is we're going to keep putting more on this kid because we have very few viable assets to catch the football, and we need a lot more out of him. And almost are you putting more on the kid before week 1 starts because you are seeing him do some things well, and then you start piling those things on? I'm kind of curious if that played a factor at all, because there were a lot of positives heading into the year with him, and there weren't a lot of positives in this offense. So you almost might overload a kid at times.
Yeah, that's what I think. So 31 targets, 12 receptions, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 first downs, average depth of target 12. I thought it was a misprint. I wrote it down 4 times. Bro, 11 yards of yak. 19% in the slot, 80% out wide. I'm getting depressed reading this.
Yeah.
Explosive play, 7 targets, 1 reception.
See, he didn't have a catch past November 24th.
I know, man, but I still.
It's tough.
Look, I always root for my wide receivers, right?
I'm not rooting against him. I'm just stating a fact. That's a rough stat to say.
Yeah, it is. 10 targets, mid-range, 2 receptions, 18 yards. Short, 1 target, 1 catch, 7 yards. Mm-hmm. Man, this is like kind of somber.
Well, Steve, it went about as bad as it could have gone for a lot of people in New England. Not just.
Let's get to the grade.
Let's get to the
grades.
All right, Steve, I'm going to start off with the first grade. We're going to go with mental maturity. And this first year, that mental toughness, mental maturity took a hit. It's a C- borderline D grade there. Because of everything we said of how good it was going, talking to people in New England, it was, you just saw the confidence just plummet as the season went on. Now, that can be for a variety of reasons. I'm not putting that solely on Ja'Lynn Polk, but what ended up happening was the confidence started to become an issue to the point to where in the first Bills game, late in the season when they were playing in Buffalo, he was slated to be a healthy scratch because of things like this, and he ended up dressing just because they needed bodies.
That's the worst.
I mean, those type of things came out that he was struggling to kind of turn the corner in a difficult season. There was hope that he would turn the corner after a bye week, get a chance to reset. Sometimes this is a goal, right, for young players, Steve. You use that bye week to kind of just reset yourself, and there was hope that he could finish strong. But again, a lot of things were going wrong in December. The coach's job was 100% secure, I was told, at the start of December, and look what ended up happening.
Wolves.
So, a lot of things changed as the season went on. And I think the ability to handle all of that, if you talk to people in New England, was very, very difficult for Ja'Lynn Polk. So that's one of the things that he's gonna have to work on this next offseason, is handling everything that comes with playing wide receiver in New England, in Boston. There's a lot that goes with it, but that was a part that took a big hit and people in New England believe impacted his play.
Well, I understand what you mean, but I also think it's not fair.
Okay.
His role changed week to week. And for a young guy, you're going to play X, then you're going to play Z, you're going to play this, you're going to play that. I don't think it's fair that his role would change, because if your role is changing week to week, that also means that your head's spinning.
Probably.
And when your head is spinning like this, look, I got this, I do my golf stuff. So this is a camera warranty card. It has 19 different languages. I've barely figured out English. Now you want me to figure out some of this other stuff? You can't. And it's unfair to put something on someone else's plate when you don't even know what you're doing. You got Jacoby Brissett playing quarterback, which he's a veteran. He's your bridge quarterback, so you don't want to overload your rookie quarterback, but you'll overload your rookie receiver. Okay.
It's like I was talking about.
So you get your bridge quarterback who's in there and you're trying to push the ball down the field, but your quarterback who is in there is doing more of the intermediate throwing. Jacoby Brissett is not a guy that pushes the ball down the field. He's more of an intermediate thrower, check down Charlie. That's his game. That's who he is. That's what it is. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what Jacoby was there for, to teach Drake Maye and also to direct this offense. Understand the big shots will come, but let's make sure we can see everything underneath first. Well, they benched Jacoby Brissett and put in Drake Maye. And Drake Maye is throwing the ball down the field. Well, I can tell you right now by my observation, there were times because of the confidence kind of going away with Polk that he started to lose the confidence of his young quarterback because his young quarterback was watching the decline of his confidence in his wide receiver, and the quarterback does not throw the football to a guy that maybe will catch it or he is maybe in the right spot. It ain't his fault that they were switching up things every week. It's not his fault that his offensive coordinator was not very good, and it's not his fault that his head coach, Jerome Mayo, was giving mixed messages. That's uncontrollable things that are out of his control. Unlike we've seen other wide receivers, he hasn't come out on social media. He hasn't tweeted. He hasn't Snapchat, right? He's kind of gone about his business and done it the right way.
The locker room comments this season have been a bit bizarre. And they've been a bit bizarre for some of the people that have done a ton of work on him going, our character is out. And I'm not saying he has bad character or anything. It was just, It was shocking with the amount of work that these teams put into these prospects, right? And he checked every box. And so just talking to some guys with some other teams that did a ton of work on him were, man, some of the stuff in the locker room and with the media and some of the things that he's saying is a little surprising to us. I think that personally, this is my opinion, is that's him trying to handle these confidence issues or mental issues, dealing with the struggles, and that's coming out there. Coming out saying, I got the best hands in the NFL, and you got 12 catches for the year. I mean, that's a little tough to kind of figure out. I think these are ways that he's trying to handle some of these confidence struggles he's having through the year. I'm not saying it makes him a bad guy or anything like that. I think that's him searching, right, for how do I get myself out of this. Some people can speak it to an existence, right? You played that way a little bit where, like, if I'm going to say this, I know I can vision myself doing it, right? Like, stuff like that. And so I think that's just him trying to get his confidence back. But it also looked a little strange in a lot of people that were in New England, obviously. But this is all him trying to find his way through his rookie season with some of the confidence issues that he struggled with. That's kind of the point. So, Steve, I did want to throw another grade out there in terms of situation. And this isn't giving Ja'Lynn Polk a pass, but the situation that he was put in was a low grade. I mean, that's a C-. You mentioned Alex Van Pelt. We mentioned what happened with Jerome Mayo the last month of the season and a rookie head coach in there. But what oftentimes happens with a first-year head coach is what? There are a lot of guys doing their jobs on the staff for the very first time.
Correct.
Do you know the NFL experience between the two coaches in the wide receiver room, the wide receiver coach and the assistant wide receiver coach? You know how many years of NFL coaching experience? 0.
Oh, Troy Brown's still not there?
No. So it's 0. Tyler Hughes, this was his first year as a wide receiver coach. He had 3 years as an offensive assistant in New England. That's his NFL experience. The assistant, Taquan Underwood, assistant wide receiver coach, first NFL job.
Oh, Taquan Underwood. Yeah, I remember him.
Remember him? He played.
He wasn't a very good wide receiver.
He was a QC in Miami for a year. I'm just saying, in terms of your situation...
Man, I realized what I just said. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that.
But no, it's the situation you're put in from every single angle and position. And also, when I mentioned the new, I wanted to say this.
That explains a lot. Now I'm stuck on the Taquan Underwood. I'm like, oh, I see where he got that from. Google it, moogle it. My bad. Yeah, not his fault for real.
No. Ja'Lynn Polk is sleeping good now that Steve has said you're straight.
I kind of see why that boy in a peg leg, one-legged sack race. Oh, goodness gracious. Holy smokes, that boy they try to get Easter baskets with no hands. Goodness gracious.
So the point I'm making is compound that with the fact
I'm not finished. I got a mountain of these now that I know who their assistant and current wide receivers coach. That's like trying to have somebody with diabetes tell you stop eating sweets. Come on now. Jeez.
All right. End scene. That's another part of what they're having to do, Steve, because this ties into what
that's
I'm
like an elephant
about.
trying to teach a dolphin to swim.
All right. So what also changed with this new regime?
A cat trying to teach a dog how to meow.
I'm gonna start the next one just knowing you're gonna. So what ended up happening was. All right. So, Steve, compound this, right, with what I just said to you, with the way things changed or the Crafts or the organization wanted things to change this season, which was Bill Belichick for 20 plus years did things one way, which was what in the draft process? Secretive, kind of closed off, not, some people believe, a whole lot of collaboration.
None.
And what did they almost flip the pendulum back the other way was, we want as much collaboration as possible. We want the scouting staff and the front office to talk as much as we can to this coaching staff. Well, we might have had some bad intel from the coaching staff about exactly what they were wanting and how they wanted to use certain individuals. And I think all of this trying to figure out what's best for us as the Patriots and trying to fit the pieces into what's best for us as the Patriots, with a lot of people doing it for the first time, including you as the wide receiver, is a lot. And I think that grade is not on Ja'Lynn Polk, the situation grade I'm giving. That's on the situation in New England that Ja'Lynn Polk was dealing with and had to bring home to mom going, hey, this is on the report card, but it's not all me. Teacher was terrible.
Fish with no bait.
Stuff. Yeah, exactly. So that was the other grade.
Cooking with no gas.
Before we got into some of it. Yeah, exactly, man. You know?
So I have to go with route running, C-. Catching, had a few drops, C. And then for me, potential. Not enough snaps, and obviously, I just want to also, too, say something, because people are going to, I know y'all going to comments, and y'all quick to jump on 89 and say, and we appreciate it, hit subscribe. I'm not trying to come at Underwood in a negative way, but when I look at a guy's file, and just because you played in the league doesn't make you a good coach. First of all, I will never be a coach in the National Football League. College, high school, I can only do my kids. And that's because my wife is sitting on the sideline watching and giving me the evil eye like, you better not, right? I don't have the temperament to coach. Now, I have the temperament to kind of like do some camps, because I only see you for a little bit, a couple of days, and bang, it's 5 hours and we good.
Yeah, back on the course.
Exactly. But when I look and watch and looking at Ja'Lynn Polk and then looking at the people who are coaching him, I have that, it makes sense, because he just wasn't a dynamic football player. He has some spots. And so when you got a guy goes where he played a little bit and he becomes a better coach, and not every coach has to play. But I do think if you just finished playing a couple of years ago and you're coaching and you're playing look identical, I think that's something. And so when I heard that, I was like, it makes sense. So when I'm looking at his film, the inconsistency, the way he's doing things, he's being led by the wrong people. That coach is those two receivers may not like hearing what I have to say, and I don't know them personally, but I know their body of work. This is how deep it is. It's right here, a little coupon that I bought from the little neighborhoods, okay? 25% off if you spend 100 or more.
Well, Steve, he's going to have a new situation next year. I mean, it's going to be
God bless him. T's and P's, it worked. Thoughts and prayers. Let's get to the film.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, with the new year beginning, we're here to remind you that life is more and maybe more complex than just resolutions that fade in February. It's about picking up the pen, becoming the author of your own life. BetterHelp is completely online, so it's therapy that is both convenient and affordable, and serving more than 5 million people worldwide. So, write your story with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/89 and you'll get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/89.
All right, so here's a film. I thought in this game early on against Miami, he did a really good job. Good release, slows him up. I love the way he sets him up, gets inside out, positive finish, squares off downhill. Really love that route. Good release. That's really good because, Miami, they generally like to press someone, does an outstanding job. Okay, next play. So right here, this is one of those where here's the coaching and here's the ball being thrown. The release is excellent, but the angle needs to be higher because you see how the corner's playing too, the underneath corner? Mm-hmm. The quarterback cannot throw that ball at the angle that Polk is running because the angle has to be high and the quarterback will flatten you out. You run high angle and let the throw flatten you out, but he flattens them out and the quarterback sees how they're playing this coverage and knows that this corner can play both the underneath route if he throws it at the angle that he's at. Mm-hmm. And so that's why the quarterback throws it at an eye angle. That's a learning. But also, that's a rookie saying, hey, I'm just going to run the route according to what I think. And you see Jacoby double hitches because he's like, bad angle. Because Jacoby knows if you throw this ball at the way he's running it, look where the defender is if he would have threw it at the angle.
Yeah.
That would have been a bad thing. So that's not good. And that just goes with experience, right? A good coaching staff will get on him and kind of drill that in his head. They'll talk about it, high angle. He'll be fine. Like this one, it's a hinge where he gets the DB running, comebacks down the hill towards the quarterback and protects the throw. Now, obviously, they're not going to throw him the ball, but I still like the route. He establishes himself, uses his hands. That's a physicality and a great craftiness that I saw him in college. That's a college route right there that he put in his bag on his trip up to New England or Foxborough, and so that has translated, and I really like that as well. Love this play because he gets quick jam, but does a remarkable job recovering, and that's going to happen. Sometimes you just get quick jam, and you see his quick jam, bang, bites him off, gets outside, so he doesn't slow anything down, and he gives the quarterback the ability, if he was going to throw it, obviously, to the running back, that my guy will not blow up the running back. And then that tells me that he's taking care of his teammates. That is something that I really love. This is a quick slant. Love this because they're sitting in two-man coverage, crosses the face of the defender. That's always the tough thing when you know you're going to get hit. Yes, it's a drop, but here's the thing. He drops it because there's a little bit of traffic, but I still like that he ran through contact. That's the part that I really enjoy, him running through contact. Ball's a little behind him, deflection, but the thing that he does is recover, goes through it. I really like that. Oh, yeah, this is a good route because he sits in void, understands the coverage. It's always good when you understand the coverage when you got a young guy. See, he's going inside, looking, hey, nobody's there, gets friendly. That's a great route. I love what he's doing. Wide open, just him and God, right? Just sitting there. Just the best one. That's a tough catch, too. So, gets the 49ers. This is a good release. Widens the defender, crosses his face. Good route overall. Doesn't get the football, but I still like he's up top, just crosses his face. They're going the opposite way. But let's just say, hypothetically, the offensive line is actually really good. He gets that football up top, bang, who knows what can happen. We seen him in college catch that ball and go to the Heasy. This route I like is a stutter and stop. So he stutters, acts like he's running a double go, comes back and runs the stop. This shows the ability that he does understand how to play ball. Look at that space in between him and the quarterback, and that's Jacoby Brissett. I don't have any passes with Drake Maye just because some of them, Drake just didn't throw him the football much. Later in the season, he wasn't playing as much, healthy scratch. But overall, it's just a tough situation for a young kid to be in, right? And it's not necessarily his fault, but understanding what's going on, painting a picture to let you know why a young man is maybe struggling, what he goes through. You don't always know what's going on. And sometimes what we try to do is give you the understanding how the sausage is made. And when you realize how the sausage is made, sometimes you don't want to take a bite. So that's really why making sure you understand that why a kid is or a guy is playing well or playing bad, sometimes it's out of his control. Sometimes it's where you get drafted, that you get drafted to a team that actually knows what they're doing, or you get drafted to a team that's figuring it out and they're in and outer space and building a rocket ship as they go into orbit. And sometimes that's difficult, and we get to watch it be built and see all the ins and outs.
So what's your overall grade, Steve?
So for me, I give him a C.
I hope things turn around. I hope things change. I'm not putting it all on Ja'Lynn Polk for sure. I'm excited to see what type of staff comes in there. But
hey, you know what? I'm gonna be a helicopter receivers coach. It ain't his fault.
You're like Robin Williams in a Good Will Hunting. Sitting there hugging Matt Damon in a therapy session. It's not your fault, Ja'Lynn. It's not your fault. But
it ain't.
I think it's cool that he gets a new staff. But I think it's needed.
Man, that's a blessing.
I think it's needed.
Cool. Cool is what you want in the summer.